In any case, were I to invoke logic, logic clearly dictates that the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
I am a logical man, Doctor.
Oh, it'll take more than logic to get us out of this.
Logic is a little tweeting bird chirping in a meadow. Logic is a wreath of pretty flowers which smell bad.
The ears make all of the difference.
I find your arguments strewn with gaping defects in logic.
One does not thank logic, Amanda.
Logic. Logic. I'm sick to death of logic.
But it is very logical. There's that magic word again. Does your logic find this fascinating, Mr. Spock?
Our logic is to be illogical. That is our advantage. Mr. Spock, it is time. The explosive.
Very well, Captain.
Logic suggests...
Logic? My God, the man's talking about logic. We're talking about universal Armageddon.
Commence primary ignition.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. So this is episode 6 of the Logic Blaster podcast. And this is a very special episode because I am celebrating passing 1,000 subscribers. And also this week marks the 2-year anniversary of when I started my YouTube channel, which was April 4th of 2021. So I wanted to do a podcast mainly to thank everyone who's subscribed, who's been supporting my channel. I really appreciate it. And as a thank you, one of the things I want to talk about in this podcast is some of my tips for creating content here on YouTube. So over the past 2 years, I've actually learned quite a bit. A year ago, I did 2 videos where I covered some of this material. So, but in case you guys didn't watch those videos, I'm going to cover some of the same kinds of things, but I actually have a bunch of new information as well that I want to share with you. So there'll be a little bit of behind the scenes kind of stuff in this video, and hopefully the advice that I give you is useful to my fellow YouTubers, or if you don't have a YouTube channel but are thinking of starting one, this advice will be useful for you as well. So that's all coming up in this podcast. That's going to be the focus, the topic. And I think you'll find it interesting. Like I said, I'm going to share some behind the scenes kind of information so you get to see what goes on in the world of a YouTuber. So before we get into that, I'd like to do some shout outs to some very important people who have helped my channel quite a bit in terms of growing, gaining subscribers, and so forth. And first shout out I want to give is to Spine Ticks and the Spine Ticks community, really, which is hosted by Sith Lordly. He runs a Saturday live stream, which starts at 8 p.m. Pacific time almost every Saturday. I don't think he's skipped one. So he's really fantastic. He's a great host of that podcast, that live stream. And there's a lot of collectors who come into the chat and interact, and he has a lot of guests on. The regular guests that I want to mention are Dave Collects Yeah and Uncanny Swag. Those guys are on almost every episode of the live stream, and they've both been very supportive of me here on YouTube and also on Instagram. Uncanny Swag is on Instagram primarily. I don't think he has a YouTube channel, but he's a great collector and very supportive of other collectors. So once again, that Spine Ticks community is really fantastic. If you haven't caught their Saturday live stream, you really should check it out. There's tons of collectors. They collect all kinds of different things, including comic books and action figures. And it's just a really good community, very positive interactions on that live stream in the chat, the live chat. So check it out. And once again, thank you, Sith Lordly from Spine Ticks. I can't thank you enough in terms of all the support you've given my channel. So the next shout out I want to give to Paul Knapp and the Axis of Awesome. So Paul actually, he did a series of videos on his channel about 1990s and early 2000s G.I. Joes, and he had mentioned my channel several times, and I really appreciate the shout outs. I'm sure it's contributed in a lot of ways to some people checking out my channel who had not seen it before. And your series of videos is really awesome. That documentary kind of style where you were going through and kind of examining all the various releases that were done by Hasbro during that time period, from the Hall of Fame to the Classic Collection and all those different G.I. Joes. So pretty interesting and very informative in terms of all the various G.I. Joes that were put out. And I'd also like to mention some of the core members of the Axis of Awesome. They include TheSkullReviews, EliteActionJoe Studios, Skunk Works, G.I. Joe Customs, G.I. Joe The Lost Chronicles, Poplocks 4583, the 435 Movie Show, and Spider Monkey Films. Those are some of the core members of the Axis of Awesome. There are other members as well that have been added more recently. Paul actually does a live stream on his channel that he hosts. I believe he runs it mostly on Monday nights, probably around 8 o'clock, I think, is when. I haven't been able to catch all the episodes of the live stream, but the ones I've been able to sort of interact with are really fantastic. They talk mostly about G.I. Joe, 12-inch G.I. Joe, but they cover other topics as well. So really fantastic live stream. So definitely worth checking out if you are a G.I. Joe fan. So as a fan of your group, I was trying to think of a way that I could kind of support and give back to you guys as a thank you. So what I decided to do, because I was having trouble finding stuff related to the Axis of Awesome. If you actually search on YouTube, type in Axis of Awesome, what comes up is there's a comedy band from Australia with that name. So, and they have like 300,000 subscribers or something. So whenever you search that term, you don't get the G.I. Joe kind of content that you really want. So what I decided to do is to create a playlist that has all the sort of significant videos that have been done by the Axis of Awesome related to the various challenges and collaborations that they've done. So it's up on my channel. It has roughly 40 videos, has all the ones related to the Traveling Joe, also Paul's Storage Crate Sigma 6 kind of challenge that he did with a bunch of the members of the group. There's also the Joe No Joe TLC bunker build videos on there. And all the episodes of Paul's live stream are also on that same playlist. So it's all in chronological order, so you can go and binge watch all of it. And this is sort of my gesture to the group to kind of help organize things a little bit in terms of putting everything in one place where people who are interested in finding out about the group and the kinds of stuff that you do can find it all in one specific place rather than going from channel to channel trying to find the stuff. Because, like I said, the search features on YouTube are not helpful in terms of finding stuff specifically related to the Axis of Awesome. So hopefully this playlist helps. And feel free to use it in any way you wish. If you want to just make your own playlist based on this, or if you want to feature it on your channel, you know, do whatever you feel like doing with it. I will be adding additional videos to the playlist as time goes on, so it's kind of a work in progress. So as you guys create more content related to the Axis of Awesome, specific challenges or whatever, I'll make sure to put that stuff on the playlist. And please let me know if I missed anything significant. You can contact me on Instagram if you like. The link to my Instagram is in the description of this video. And I will put a link to the playlist in the description of this video too, so you can all check it out. And also, I will put links to a bunch of the pages, the YouTube home pages of the various members of the Axis of Awesome. That'll all be in the description as well. So if you want to go specifically to their channels, I will provide links to those. So anyway, I just want to thank you guys. Do something to sort of help out your group. Hopefully this is a welcome addition to your content, just in terms of having things sort of organized in a way that people can find it very easily. So that's going to be it for the shout-outs. So I want to get into the main topic of this podcast. And so we're going to go through some of the features of YouTube that I've noticed I've been able to take advantage of in terms of creating content for my channel. And I notice other channels could use some help in this area. So I'm going to give you some words of advice in terms of things that you might want to try. One thing I notice a lot of people, they sort of gloss over in terms of creating content for YouTube is their thumbnails, the titles, and the descriptions. So for my channel, I spend a fair amount of time on all three of these things. Titles are pretty straightforward. You want to make sure that whatever's most important is right at the beginning of the title, because certainly on mobile devices, part of the title gets cut off. I would also recommend putting hashtags in the titles of your videos too. Those actually seem to help in terms of search features, because they're actually hashtag pages on YouTube that you can actually use to search for things. So put them in the titles and in the descriptions. Hashtags are very useful. They may seem a little corny, but at the same time, they definitely work in terms of finding searchable stuff for YouTube. So in terms of thumbnails, I recommend spending some extra time on them. Take a unique photo for each video that you create. And make the text big, because a lot of people are looking at these videos on mobile devices, and the thumbnail is really, really tiny on the image of your phone screen. So you need to make the text big enough so it's readable. But also make sure that the text that you put on your videos is not obscuring the main imagery that you want to feature that explains what the video is about. So you need to find the right balance between those two things. Big text, also sort of an image that grabs the attention of the audience. And those things should complement each other. So when you're taking your photograph for your thumbnail, you may actually want to frame it in such a way that you know that there's going to be text in a certain area of the photo. So you actually frame it in such a way that, like, okay, this is where the text is going to go. So I'll just frame the thing in such a way that it makes it easy, so you don't have to crop it too much. So I use Photoscape X, which is a free piece of software to do all the thumbnails on my channel, and very useful piece of software. I covered that in the previous 2 videos that I did about YouTube. Yeah, it's definitely worth doing. So in terms of the description of your video, I would include as much information as you can put in there. I think they allow you like 5,000 characters or something like that. So you got a lot of room to actually add in relevant links to other areas you have on social media. Put in a lot of information into your description. Include hashtags if they make sense. And what this does is, I know some of you saying like, oh, well, who really looks at the description of a video? It's like, I'll tell you who. YouTube. YouTube looks at that when they're figuring out how to search, categorize stuff for searches on YouTube. All that stuff that's in your description matters. So having keywords related to what it is you're talking about in your video and relevant hashtags is very important for your video to be found via searches in YouTube. And that's part of the traffic that you really want to have on your channel is when people are actually searching for the content specific to what they want to find, you want your video to come up. So it's not just the title that matters, it's also what's in that description. So I would pay a lot of attention to it, and what you can do for certain things is have a document either on your phone if you're posting via your phone or on your computer, which has a lot of the relevant information already written down. So you can kind of just cut and paste it when you're doing your upload. So that saves some time. But there's also a default thing in YouTube Studio where you can actually set the default description to have a certain amount of information. Certainly your relevant links to social media and stuff like that, you probably want to have that as a default. So that automatically gets put in. It doesn't get automatically put in if you're posting shorts via the YouTube app. They don't have a section for a description via the app, which is weird. So we'll get into that a little bit later. This next topic I want to talk about is going to be shorts, but like I mentioned, thumbnails, titles, description, all that stuff matters in terms of your success on YouTube, because those things are the gateway for people to click on your video. So if you're creating an image which is very boring as your thumbnail, and you're wondering why your video isn't getting a lot of views, that could be why. The nice thing is all those things are editable. You can go back to your older video. If you feel like one of your videos is underperforming, try changing the thumbnail, because all those things on your long form content, you can go back and edit and change the title. You can change the thumbnail. You can change the description. All that stuff you can go back and tinker with. So definitely worth doing. I've done it for certain videos where I felt like, why isn't this getting enough views? So I went and changed the thumbnail. I created a different image. Usually I take a bunch of photos when I'm creating a new video, so I have various images to choose from. So if one of them doesn't really feel like it's good enough, I have other options. I have other photos that I can actually use. So I recommend doing that. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about shorts. I'm going to show you some of the stats that I have via views and subscriptions that I've gotten from shorts. So I'll put that up here on the screen so you can see actually how many views and how many subscribers I've got just from posting shorts. And you can see these numbers are significant. This isn't a trivial amount of stuff. So I posted over 170 shorts on my channel over the course of this past 2 years. The first short I posted, I think, was in June of 2021. And I've been, pretty consistently doing them. I've been doing a lot of them more recently because, like I mentioned before in other videos, I'm working 2 jobs now, so I don't really have a ton of time to produce a lot of longer form content, unfortunately. But I have time to produce shorts, and they do bring in a lot of views and a lot of subscribers, so definitely worth doing. So in terms of posting shorts, there are things that I do recommend. I recommend posting in the evening after around 5 p.m. local time. Either that or mainly because people will be home. They won't be at work generally, so you're more likely to get viewers actually checking out your short videos during that time period. But there's an exception to this because your channel might be getting views at a particular time of day. Now that information is in your YouTube analytics, so what you want to do is go and look at when your viewers are on YouTube. I'll show you that for my channel. And you can see specific days where there's more activity than others, and also specific times of day. So those are the times that you're going to be want to post shorts in particular. So I definitely recommend that. Also, if you specialize in long form content, you may want to try snipping out little parts of your longer videos and posting them as shorts. See if that actually gets some attention. You pick out like the coolest moment from a long form video and like post that. Maybe something very funny happens in one of your videos, and you could actually use that content and reformat it vertically, obviously, and then keep it under 59 seconds. I say under 59 because YouTube always tacks on an extra second to a short video, so you want to make sure that it stays under 60 seconds. Otherwise, it might get disqualified and not end up on the shorts feed. So just pay attention to not making them too long. Generally, I say 15 to 30 seconds is probably the best for a short. But I've had ones that were almost a minute long that did quite well. So you can actually get success even producing longer short videos. So if you want to use copyrighted music in your shorts, you'll need to use the YouTube app. What I recommend is finding the music ahead of time and then saving it to use later. There's also a remix feature, which you can use, but what I noticed when I upload using the remix feature, it actually uploads my video at 720p instead of 1080p, regardless of how how much resolution I have on it. It always seems to default to 720p. So yeah, I don't recommend using the remix feature. If there's a way to post without having to use the remix feature, you can use the regular upload procedures. YouTube app also allows you to pick a specific frame to use as your thumbnail, so that's now a feature. You can only do it during upload though. Once you've chosen it and once it's uploaded, you can't change the image. So when you're in the final stage of your upload, you'll see a little image up in the corner, which is your thumbnail, your default thumbnail. If you click the pencil icon in the corner of it, that allows you to go in and then change what frame is actually being used for your thumbnail. So that only exists via the app. You can't do that in regular YouTube Studio for Shorts. So used to be able to do custom thumbnails, but they don't seem to allow it anymore. Yeah, so you have to use the app. So what you can do if you're using the app, because the features are kind of limited in terms of how you're posting things, what I do is I upload those videos as private using the app. And then I go back in and use the full version of YouTube Studio to do a description, do the tags, and actually schedule a time for it to go public. Because, like I mentioned, I usually try and drop my short videos a little bit later in the day. On weekends, it's different. Like you can drop a short earlier in the day because more people are at home on weekends, like Sundays or whatever. So it is actually possible to do it a little bit earlier, but use the scheduling feature to drop your shorts. So basically, upload them as private or unlisted, and then you schedule the time for it to become public later in the day. So that's how I do it, and hopefully these tips will help you in terms of posting short form content in a more targeted way. Now, I want to show you information on a specific short that I did. It's my most successful one. It has over 11,000 views. It's my X-Files short, which features the McFarlane Toys characters from the X-Files. And this I posted back in August, I believe, of last year, and it continues to perform well. It has the X-Files theme song, and it obviously is copyrighted, so I was able to use that. And it's typically getting like 40 or more views per day consistently. So this is what's called evergreen content. So it is actually possible to produce a video via the Shorts method and actually have long-term success. So it's not all about just getting a lot of views very quickly. You can actually post a short that will have some longevity to it as well. So this is an example of that I wanted to share with you. So one of the feature of YouTube that I wanted to mention is playlists. And I notice a lot of channels either have no playlists or they just have very limited amounts of them. But you'll notice in the collector community, some of the most successful collector channels have a lot of playlists, and they feature them on their homepage. So the three major advantages of playlists. One, they keep your content organized, easy to find, easily searchable. So if people are looking for specific things, if you have a playlist where all the things that you've done on that specific topic are categorized and contained on a playlist, it makes it very easy for people to find your content. Also, like I mentioned, these can be featured on your homepage. And what that does for your homepage is it gives people a lot of things to click on. I noticed some creators, they basically have one section called uploads on their homepage, or they have two sections, uploads and shorts, and that's it. And I think you're really missing out in terms of being able to take advantage of the playlists and have a lot more content on your homepage for people to actually view. Because your older videos, people they're not going to find them unless you display them in some kind of way where people can click on it. So I highly recommend using playlists. The other thing that playlists allow is binge watching. So if someone is a fan of your work and they want to binge watch all of your content on a specific topic, having it all in a playlist means that those videos play one right after the other, and they can actually binge watch an entire playlist. And I've had it happen for my channel, like the playlist called Power of the Force Memories, which is a series that I do about the Power of the Force Star Wars toy line from the 1990s. So I have all those videos on a playlist, and I've seen people binge watching them. I can see the views coming in, people basically watching one video right after the other. So that adds up in terms of watch time, because if people are watching your videos one right after the other, you know, the time really adds up. And watch time is very important for monetizing. It's one of the things I need to work on, actually, because right now I have around 2,600 hours of watch time, but I really need 4,000 in order to qualify for the YouTube Partner Program. 1,000 subscribers is the other qualifying factor, which I've achieved, but without the watch hours, I don't even qualify to get paid to do this here on YouTube. So that's one of the things that I actually need to work on. So the playlists actually help out with that a lot, just in terms of the watch time factor. So now one other thing I wanted to mention, which is a brand new feature of YouTube, is they've added in new podcast features. So if you have a podcast or you have a live stream and you want to have specific analytics for that podcast, YouTube now provides those. So I'll show you what they look like for my channel. So what you want to do is essentially recategorize, like if you have episodes of a live stream, what you want to do is recategorize that as a podcast. So it creates a playlist of all those things. And that will give you the advantage of having the analytics, which you can examine in terms of, you know, the performance of your podcast. So I find it very helpful to see how many views I'm getting on previous episodes of my podcast, which episodes are actually doing better than others, and it makes me plan ahead, helps me to sort of figure out what I want to do in future episodes of the podcast. So very helpful. The other thing, the advantage of having one of your things categorized as a podcast, YouTube may actually recommend that in the podcast section of YouTube. It's something that they are pushing. In addition to shorts, they're also pushing podcasts. So take advantage of that. You may find out that by recategorizing your content specifically as a podcast, that you'll start getting a lot more views, because YouTube will be recommending it and categorizing it as a podcast. So I highly recommend that. So that's pretty much going to cover the main things that I wanted to address in this video. Hopefully this advice is helpful for you. Really, it comes down to hard work in terms of producing content for YouTube, and a little extra time on some of the things that I mentioned will actually help your channel grow. I'm pretty confident in that, because I've done all these things on my channel, and they've definitely helped my channel grow. As you can see, I got to 1,000 subscribers in 2 years, less than 2 years. And once again, I want to thank everyone who subscribed. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I really can't say enough in terms of reaching out to the people who've subscribed and saying, you know, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're appreciating what I do for content on this channel. And stay tuned for more. I got a lot of stuff planned for the coming years. So, you know, it's sort of a long-term kind of project for me. And I'm working an awful lot right now, working 2 jobs. So my time is kind of limited. I'm not able to produce as many of the long-form content that I'd like to. But I do have some specific things that I need to do in order to get some watch time. I have some ideas in terms of videos that I want to make. And there will be more episodes of the podcast. Obviously, this is a longer form kind of video, so this actually does help me in terms of gaining that much needed watch time. So I also, one other thing I need to actually work on for my channel is the community tab. I haven't done anything with that, but I've heard from other people that they've used the community tab to great advantage in terms of posting specific stuff on YouTube that's not an actual video, but is some other form of content. I think the reason I've ignored it is because I normally look at YouTube via my web browser, and the community tab doesn't even show up. It's only when I use the YouTube app that I actually see that kind of content. So yeah, I've kind of neglected that. So I'm going to try and work on that and see if it actually brings in some more views and some more subscribers. It's a way to kind of take advantage of that. It's almost like having a version of Instagram but on YouTube. So I may want to give that a try. Hopefully this advice that I've given you is useful to you. Let me know in the comments if you've tried some of these things, if they've worked for you. And please feel free to ask questions. I will try to answer. I'm not by no means a huge expert in terms of YouTube, but I've been at it for 2 years now, and I've certainly learned quite a few things. So I'm happy to kind of share as much knowledge as I can with all of you, and I'll try and help you out if I can. So that's going to be it for the podcast. Stay tuned for upcoming episodes. I am planning on doing another G.I. Joe episode in the future. I know I said that months ago when I did the last episode of the podcast, but like I mentioned, I've just been working, and it's really been cutting into my time to actually do episodes of the podcast. But I'm going to try and find the time to actually shoot some video of my G.I. Joes and actually create an episode of the podcast that features that content, because I do very much a fan of G.I. Joe, 12-inch G.I. Joe, so hopefully I can come up with something that you guys will appreciate. So that's it. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Have a great day.